Hello and welcome everybody. My name's Rose Smith from AbsoluteSoulSecrets.com. Thanks for joining me today for Caring Compassionate Cancer 2023 Horoscope. Okay, so there's a lot happening this year. We will have the normal assortment of Mercury retrogrades and eclipses and such like. However, we've got two really good influences and they are Saturn going into Pisces and Pluto going into Aquarius. This is going to be game changers. They'll be game changers for humanity, basically. Okay, let's get on with this. We'll have a look at the cards first. Just two cards as theme cards for the year for you, and then we'll have a look at your horoscope. Okay, here we go, and let's draw these cards for you, Caring Cancerian. The first card can be the first half of the year if you like. Often the cards work in very well with the horoscope. They've sort of got a natural synergy together. Okay, so closing my eyes, I see it's like I'm out in space and there's like a bolt of lightning that comes down and hits the planet. That's very interesting because when we start the year, the 1st of January, there's actually a lot of planets and the North and the South Node are retrograde. I'll talk more about that in a moment, what it means when they turn direct in January. All right, the card that comes up is the Hermit card. Okay, the first half of the year, if you like, if you're looking at the cards separately, is all about you taking time out for yourself. Okay, it's a time of spiritual reflection, and that is because it's through your own experience that you'll then be more confident to go out into the world with your spiritual messages at a later date. And that's regardless of what job you're in. If you may not even be working, it could just be in sort of your normal everyday life, and the little things that you say, you don't have to make it all airy-fairy. It can just be about mutual concern for another person and their concern for you. And so, you know, something like that can come out of a spiritual note. You are a light to the world. Don't ever forget that. You see here, the wolf dog here is a symbol of learning. And that is usually because at some point you're going to teach others. They're standing here on a mountaintop because it's hard work. Like, it's not simple just to be on your own and think that's easy. It's not easy at all. But there is a strong reward coming for you down the track. Okay, so that's the first card. Now the second card, closing my eyes for you, Caring Cancerians. What do I see? The kettle is boiling. It's sort of saying it's the time now. So it might be that the first half of the year, it's a quieter time. It's not time for huge, big plans to be physically manifested, but in the second half of the year, it is. And that's interesting in itself because Jupiter goes into Taurus the second half of the year, the 16th of May to the 25th of May 2024. And when Jupiter does that, it's about making things more physical. So Jupiter's been in your 10th house here. It's going to increase your connections and your hopes and dreams on a physical level from the 16th of May for 2 years and 2 years and 2 weeks basically. All right, let's have a look now and see what card we get. Okay, how's your teeth, particularly the top jaw, left-hand side? I'm getting a sort of a vibe to do with teeth, so you may need some dental work at some stage. It's sort of floating up my face, the energy. This is something from your childhood that's left over, and it's a bit of a headache because I'm getting a headache with it too now. So just make a note of that and make sure you get on to any dental work that you may need. Now the Page of Wands comes up. This is all about feeling inspired and motivated, and you could get some sort of messages coming to you. Sometimes they're about travel, and you do have a lot happening here in your 9th house, but also Saturn will be going into your 9th house, which is Pisces, in March. So yeah, maybe travel before that date, but usually, as well as travel, the stronger possibility is that your chakras are opening up and you've got more energy and you just feel better. There's growth and development here, and you take physical action. And because of this big blue bow tie, it might be related to your messages that you put out into the world. Okay, you've got something to say there. All right, so bear those 2 cards in mind because they're quite significant. Okay, so I'm just going to make this a bit bigger so you can see, and I'll actually put this up here because I've got the window open. It's flapping around like a maniacal thing. It's quite crazy. All right. Well, previous pages have been quite crazy. All right, here's your horoscope. You can see a fair bit happening. Now, the first thing to note, I did mention that we had a fair few retrogrades here, the South and the North Node, to start the year off. We also have Mercury here and where's Uranus here and Mars. Okay, so yeah, a quieter start to the year, which gradually the energy starts to ramp up over January as January proceeds. Mercury is retrograde until January 18th. Mars is retrograde until January 12th. And Uranus is retrograde until the 23rd of January. And this could bring sort of surprising realities and communications about maybe your friends, your connections, your groups, and even your hopes and dreams. There could be some changes there that you hadn't anticipated. Maybe you're socialising. People just say dumb stuff. What can I say? Sometimes they just say idiotic stuff. And then you have to decide, are you going to let it pass and say nothing, or are you actually going to pull the person up? And it depends on the circumstance, you know. Sometimes letting them go, it's not helpful in the end. It can be that pulling them up is more kind in the long run, but that's something that you have to decide. Mars down here in your 12th house is not at home at all, and it could be that, yes, there's some sort of spiritual thing going on here in the 12th house, but you feel out of sorts, or the energy's sort of coming out skew. If you might feel like doing things and feel motivated, and then you go to do them and then they don't work out, or there's some issue. But yeah, you know, it's only the first 12 days of the year, so don't panic. Also with the North and South Node there, retrograde, look, they spend half their time retrograde nearly, so it's a normal thing. It's the North Node here conjunct with Uranus and the Moon at the beginning of the year, beginning of January. It's a fated thing. It's like to do with friends and connections and groups and your hopes and dreams. It's fated. It's almost destiny that these things happen, and so very difficult to avoid. Okay. Now, so to sum all that up, it's like some surprising realities and communications, about your friends and or your hopes and dreams. Jupiter goes into Aries here, and that is, and it will be conjunct, so it's going to be, before it goes into Aries, it's going to be conjunct Chiron. This is really important because it's from the 24th of February to the 5th of March, and there's some sort of major healing that's likely to happen in your career zone, maybe dealing with authority figures or to do with your reputation. Okay, and then it will go into your 11th house later, which I'll talk about that in a minute. Saturn goes into Pisces, and that brings some sort of structure or some sort of limitation to you travelling overseas, or maybe to do with study, or somehow that you broaden your life. And but it's not totally inflexible. Sometimes this limitation or restriction could be self-imposed, so you might put some boundaries. It might actually help you to put boundaries in your study life, or to do with the way that you expand your life. So you might do some scheduling, for example, scheduling the times that you're available for clients and things like that. So it's, I think it's beneficial ultimately. The other thing I meant to mention is we have this nice little triangle here, which is 2 semi-sextiles and a sextile, with Saturn here being the focal point. So it's like the energies of Neptune and also Mercury emerging to make this very creative, intuitive type of pattern involving these 3 planets. So it's probably to do with joint resources, or perhaps even intimacy, because there's a spiritual sort of connection with it, and there's a communicative type of connection with it. So there may have been some restriction to do with joint resources, loans, superannuation or 401k if you're in the US, the things that you share with other people, or maybe your house, you've got housemates and house sharing and stuff like that. But it's ultimately quite beneficial, because you get a lot of intuition from this, and it's almost like you may want to get to the bottom of the situation and sort it out. So that's a good thing. Then we have Pluto going into Aquarius from the 23rd of March to the 11th of June, and then it goes back into Capricorn until the 31st of January 24, and then it's in back to Aquarius right through until 2044. This is fabulous in the sense of it becomes more about humanitarian types of pursuits. There's a certain amount of detachment there, where people are not allowing their emotions to rule them, even though there are deep and compelling emotions that are coming up. Okay, so it'll go into Aquarius, it'll go back into Capricorn, and then it'll go back into Aquarius for 20 years. And we're going to see tons of innovation. We're going to see so much creativity coming from really deep levels of people's psyche. We will find that science and technology are becoming more and more the thing. So science has got a bit of a bad rap lately. That's going to be sort of cleaned up, and people will come to appreciate science again when Pluto goes into Aquarius. Pluto in Capricorn is just awful in the sense of Capricorn's always about, or usually associated with, say, governments, large corporations following the rules. Aquarius doesn't follow the rules. Aquarius likes to do whatever it is that makes them feel creative, and often that is for the good of humanity. So, we're going to see this scenario where society is becoming more concerned about its members rather than the governments and the corporations ruling. They'll still rule, don't get me wrong, but they won't be ruling absolutely, because there's going to be more compassion for people generally. And if governments don't do that, they'll be thrown out one way or the other. And we can see now there's a lot of different coups and takeovers of governments. I think there was one in Peru yesterday or a couple of days ago. It's becoming more and more prevalent that any government that is ultra right-wing or fascist is thrown out. And you can see that in Brazil. My husband just said yesterday there was like 6 countries he just reeled off. He just realised when he heard about Peru, he just realised that there was all of these countries that had thrown out right-wing fascist type governments that were turning into virtually dictatorships. It's such a danger. I don't know how people can think that that is okay. You know, fascism is not okay. My father-in-law was in Italy in the Second World War, so I know about fascism, what that means under Mussolini. So I'm so glad to see Pluto going into Aquarius. Pluto is involved with the really deep things and brings up very deep, compelling emotions around death and birth and rebirth. Also to do with addiction, manipulation, power and control. And so we expect that we'll see that here as well, but we'll also get some of the positive side of that as well. So a very powerful time. A whole bunch of eclipses I'll talk about in a moment. I talked about Jupiter going into Taurus already, and also we have Venus here retrograde in Leo, and it will be here in your second house, and Venus rules over money, so this could have definite effects for you and your money. Venus retrograde can bring a slowdown around your personal finances, your possessions, or maybe even the things that you value or the things that you think you deserve. Okay, so there could be some slowing down, so just take a note of that. What are the retrograde dates? 22nd of July until the 3rd of September. Okay. Now, Mercury, I'll come to the eclipses. So there's 4 eclipses, which is quite usual. There's a solar eclipse on the 20th of April in Aries, which is going to bring a lot of new beginnings, very spontaneous time, a very active, energetic time around your career or perhaps your reputation. You could have a lot to do then, but it's sort of refreshing, the beginning of a new cycle, so to speak, and even if you are busy, you'll probably enjoy it. Then there's a lunar eclipse on the 6th of May in Scorpio, bringing up very potent feelings here in Scorpio, and it could be that there in the 5th house, it could be to do with romance or creativity, or perhaps even to do with children, your leisure and pleasure, getting out and having fun. It's a bit turbulent, so yeah, maybe don't get so busy that you're doing too much, perhaps. We have solar eclipse in Libra on the 14th. I'll put that one in the wrong place, actually. This one here, a solar eclipse, brings new beginnings around your home and family. There could be some sort of new cycle begins with your home and family. Maybe you're doing some renovations or something, or you're changing the use of your home in some way. There could be some new family members that you might hear about, or somebody becomes like a family member. And then there's a lunar eclipse in Taurus on the 28th. Okay, so up here in Taurus, a bit of a shake-up with your friends and your hopes and dreams. It might not necessarily turn out the way that you thought it was going to turn out. So, yeah, it could be some sort of... Often with the lunar eclipses, they're internal, so there might be nothing come of it on a physical level, but you can feel it internally. Okay, the other thing to note is Mercury retrograde 4 times, so we're starting the year off with that as the first time until the 18th. And then on the 21st of April, it's in Taurus, bringing real physical slowdowns, or especially around your travel or travel glitches, misunderstandings, miscommunications, problems with technology. These are all aspects of Mercury retrograde, so do take extra care. It's also retrograde again on the 23rd of August in Virgo. So usually it goes retrograde for about 3 weeks, and there's a shadow period coming onto the retrograde of about a week or 10 days maybe, and a shadow period at the end of the retrograde for a week or 10 days. I've never felt it lasts for 10 days. I think the most I've felt it for is like 5 days. Is quite a common thing. I always feel Mercury retrograde. However, I can feel when it's coming on and I can feel when it's going off. If you're a psychic, you might have that ability as well. I'm not sure what I got up to. I think I said them all. Oh, I was talking about Mercury retrograde, sorry. And then it's retrograde again on the 12th of the 12th, so 12th of December, and it's in Capricorn and Sagittarius. So it could particularly affect, where are we? Capricorn. Here it's in Capricorn, so it could affect your partnerships, the significant, important partnerships, and also legalities, and the people that you don't get on very well with. So do watch for misunderstandings there, and also to do with your health, or your daily routine or your daily work, especially if you're working and it's paid work. So there could be some issues there, so back up all your devices at work, and be particularly careful if you have any health issues going on. Okay, so that's it, caring Cancerians. I hope this is helpful for you. Thank you so much for listening. I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, and all the very best for going into 2023. May you be blessed abundantly. Okay, if you're new, subscribe and be alive and hit that notification bell right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now. Thanks so much for watching. Please visit my website absolutesoulsecrets.com for all things spiritual. Have a lovely day.